Hi, folks. Old man Grognard here. I assume I'm coming through audibly, audio, the mic. So I'm sure you'll tell me if there's no sound, but I decided to play around with it until I get sound this time. I don't exactly know what I do, but I do something anyway. Anyway, how is everybody doing today? It's a Saturday. It's the 30th of May. And in about a week, we're going to have North Texas RPG Con where I'm not going to be. I it has been a crazy couple of months, let me tell you. I mean, this is I've been totally knocked off my game, and it's I don't know. I just felt like I had to talk to you people for a while because it things have been going on. It didn't exactly go in my favor, and maybe not yours. I'm not sure. But I wanted to talk to you before I'm going to be starting another GoFundMe in order to get to the WizardCon convention in October. And there's a whole story on that too, part of which I can tell, part of which I can't. But anyway, here we are. Okay, here's what happened. I started a GoFundMe last December, I think. And I was going to try and raise money to go to WizardCon, which was supposed to happen in April. And it was a very good GoFundMe. And I thank everybody who helped. Basically, the idea was my publisher, my friend Don, who runs WizardCon, wanted me to come over. He wanted me to, run games, and my book came out that month, so he wanted me to be there to sell my book and sign, autograph. I said, okay, fine. I don't really. We're retired. Both my wife and I are retired, and so I had to start a GoFundMe in order to have some funds to actually attend, which I did. It was a very successful GoFundMe. I raised about $1,000, and I was doing okay. We were planning on it. I was going to be flying out and all that good stuff. Then it happened around, and that's funny because my wife was the one who pointed out what happened to me, because I didn't realize, because I was going through stuff on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And the second, I got into the hospital due to the fact that I had a tumor on my brain, which I didn't. I was acting oddly, and I couldn't explain it. She couldn't explain it, but the doctors could when they saw the MRT, or whatever they do. They scan. So I ended up having brain surgery, and I ended up, in fact, there. See, I got that pretty much, and so I had to stay in the hospital, of course, and I had to stay there for about 2 weeks to try and get myself, back into shape after they did it. And we are on Social Security, and we are on Medicaid. But at the same time, it ended up that I had to use that 1,000 I raised not to go to the con, but to help us out at home while I was recuperating, because that kind of cut into us really bad. So I ended up, Becky basically said, well, we're going to need that money. I said, okay. And I canceled my appearance at all my cons, which was kind of, I don't know, it was pretty, it sort of, how shall I say this? It had nothing to do with what happened to WizardCon, but it's kind of weird because WizardCon ended up getting canceled due to a problem with the hotel. and certain things that happened and behind that. And the hotel and Don had to cancel and reschedule to October. So even if I had still had the money, I couldn't have gone anyway, which meant because I was supposed to go there, I was supposed to go to North Texas RPG Con as usual in June. At the end of June, I was supposed to go to another Texas convention, which I also had to bow out. I had to bow out through all of them. And what I'm understanding is it seems like that I'm thinking that North Texas is kind of cursed this year because I wasn't the only one who had to pull out of the con. There's like 3 or 4 other people who were running games or going to it that had to pull out. And so I don't know what's going on. I know Don had to pull out because he's getting his stint out for his, he had cancer in his lymph node. So he's getting the lymph node removed. I had a cancer tumor removed out of my head. And like my friends, Mike and Liz, are only going to attend like one day or two. And there are other people like that who had to pull out. It was crazy. So it's a weird year. Let me put it that way. It's a weird year. So I decided to try another GoFundMe because I know we won't have the money to go to WizardCon 2 in October because we're going to Don still wants me to come and have my book signing and stuff. Speaking of which, on April 18th at Barnes & Noble in Oklahoma City on May Avenue, I am going to have a book signing for my book. And so I thought I'd now announce that here. But anyway, I've been trying to say this over the last few live broadcasts, but there's something always, I didn't want to, I had Don and the other guys there. I didn't want to take up their time. So I thought I'd do this. And, I always like to talk to you guys anyway. You're my friends. Yeah. So that's pretty much where my status is. If you want to contribute, I'd appreciate it. If you don't, I understand. I wasn't trying to I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to fool or, gyp or whatever you want to call it. And this part of the brain thing. I can't come for some reason. There are times when I'm talking and I can't exactly come up with the word I want, but I'll come up with another word with the first letter that may be wrong, or I can't think of it at all. So that's why I'm kind of this way right now. But on the whole, it's gotten a lot better, so I'm all right. But at the same time, I wasn't trying to cheat you guys or anything. It's just that that's the way it had to happen. And I am sorry that your contribution went to us just trying to stay afloat in our retirement and such like that. Anyway, I knew, and what I had was, let's see, my wife wrote this down because I can't remember how it was called. I had a glioblastoma multiforme tumor, which is a type of cancer. And I've been taking radiation and chemo every day for the last couple of weeks, started a couple of weeks ago, to try and, because when they take it out, they can't take 100% out. There'll always be little bits in there. And this is a very, very, from what I understand, this is a very, very aggressive type of cancer. So it's going to grow back unless we start hitting it with stuff to keep it from growing. This may end up, I have to do for the rest of my life. I don't know. It's like 30 days of this. And then after 30 days, once a month, I'll be checked. And if it comes back, I'll be doing like 1 week of radiation and chemo. And that's basically to keep it at bay. With any luck, maybe I will be a cancer survivor. From what I understand, this is probably one of the most aggressive forms of cancer you've ever seen. And I don't know. It just happened. And nobody knows how I got it. If I was a smoker and I got lung cancer, that'd be one thing. I couldn't have, I wouldn't have, I would stop smoking or whatever, or some other thing like that. But this, they don't know where it comes from. So I may be kind of screwed. You know what I'm saying? Um, I know the doctor, the first time we talked to him, he says, yeah, I've seen people go up, last another like 3 to 5 years. I said, no, I want at least 15. So we are going to hit this hard. And it's taking the radiation and the chemo very, very well. A lot better. A lot better than it did, than they thought it would, because it really zaps. So anyway, that's where I am. I'm going to be trying to be at WizardCon if I can get the money, and I will be at North Texas next year. I swear, as a special guest or whatever, but I will be there. Okay. I just want to assure you guys of that. All right. 10 minutes of my problems. All right. Let's talk about other things. Well, actually, I want to shout out to Don, my publisher, who is also going through his cancer thing, and I think good thoughts. Pray for him that he will pull through. Okay, all right. So we will talk about other things, I guess. How about role-playing games? Hey, yeah, how about role-playing games? My way of role-playing. All right. I've talked about this before. When I'm of the camp that, there are people who are always like, when they started role-playing, it's back in the day or whatever. I don't know how it is now, but back in the day, there were certain people who ended up being the game master. He was always the game master because nobody else wanted to do it. And it's like, oh, that's too bad. But me, I like doing it. I like being a game master, a GM. In fact, my full name is Glenn Mark Hallstrom, which means my initials are GM Hallstrom. So I've always been a GM. Even though I do play. I have a Monday game online, which I love these guys. I love playing with them. But God almighty, I wish I was at the table. I wish I was still at the table, because this is okay. This will get me by. But at the same, and my friend Carlos is running the game right now, and I love his games. He does great games. He's using this role-playing system. I can't remember what the name is, but I'm still kind of funny with it, and I'm still trying to learn how to play it. And he's using Owlbear Rodeo, which at one time I signed up for, and I thought, oh, I'm going to run online Owlbear Rodeo, and I never did. And now we're back to Owlbear Rodeo like a year or two later, and I was going to go, boy, they changed. This has gotten a lot harder. Oh boy. Because first of all, I don't like I don't want to deal with the, how shall they say, the learning curve, because I don't want to. I mean, I just want to go and run it. Like, I'm sitting at the table, I got my stuff set up, and it's going. You know what I'm saying? So I'm running. Great. But I don't want to sit there. Hi, Matt. I hope I'm still on air, and I hope you can hear me. And if not, I'm going to stop this and scrap the whole thing. But it's a nice rehearsal of what I talked about. But anyway, here I am. I hope you're doing all right, Matt. And I love GMing. I do, but I want to be at the table. I want to look at you guys in the eyes. I think that's because of my experience as an actor. And now I know every GM doesn't have that experience or wants that experience or really feels comfortable with that experience. That's why I've always tempered this with, this is the way I do it. I can tell you a way to do it the way I do it. But if you're uncomfortable with that, it's okay. You run it the way you do it. As long as you can run a good game without having to really leap into it and do the acting stuff. You really can. I mean, yes, it'd be nice that you can change your voice or just, but there are a few acting things you can think about and not get into the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I'm just that way. That's the way I run. I can't help it. So don't hold that against me. So there's that. I wanted to go into a few things that I do as a game master that could help you as a game master. I tend to lean on against more game master advice than player advice, even though I spent more time as a player growing up than as a game master. But I've had a lot more time behind the screen now, which is good. I like playing a lot of NPCs. I really do. You know why I like a lot of NPCs? Because one, I like to act, and I get to act for different NPCs. And two, I like to get the players to act with me. And I'm not talking just like we're on stage or something and acting. I'm talking about at the game. I want to draw out the player in any way I can. If they're not comfortable doing what I'm doing, fine by me. But if they want to rise up to where I am and doing it, even better. But I'm not going to say they're doing it wrong, because they're not doing it wrong. They're doing it the way they're enjoying it. And that's the whole point of the game. So if I come at you as an Irish bartender or something there, saying, hey, you want some more ale? Hey, we've got some ale here if you want it. Yeah, 1 silver piece. I don't charge too much. I come to you that way. You don't have to come back at me. But I'd like you to think about your character at least. Think about it and how he would react to that. Just, But I don't want you to do it where you have to do it. You feel like you have to do it. You're not enjoying. If you're not enjoying the show, there we go. If you're not enjoying the game, why should you even be at the table? And I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I want you to enjoy what you're doing. And if I'm playing an NPC to you, I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable and feel like you have to do it with me. I mean, if we were actors on stage, that's something else. The director wants you to be in your character and react. But I'm not a director. I'm a game master. And they say game masters are not storytellers, but actually they are to a certain extent. You know why? Because he's at a table full of storytellers. The story is being told by the GM and the players. They're the ones that make it go. Okay? So that's kind of my technique. As far as adventures go, if I'm coming up with my own, I don't mind running a module. I've run modules before. Easy peasy. Read it a couple of times, make your notes, go. I do prep for them. But as far as my own adventures, I don't. It's different. It's different than like writing a book. This is like writing a game where you have all the control. In a game, you have 75% control, maybe. Sometimes I let go even more because I love to see what the characters come up with. Which is why when I write a book, it's different than writing an adventure. When I'm writing an adventure, I'm planning out what the NPCs are doing, what the general storyline is. And I say general because it can go off in another direction, wherever the players take it. But what I like to do is to figure out what the NPCs are going to do. I told Becky earlier, I said the way I like to write it, and I even write it like this with the book. It's like I like to figure out what the plan is for the bad guys or the opposition. What is the plan for the bad guys, and what would it look like if it actually went their way and they completed it? Then you look at that and you say, okay, this you try. I try to find points. Okay, this point, this point, this point, this point, things may happen. Okay, fine. I've got a guideline. Some people say that you're not supposed to like railroad people. No, I don't like railroading. I don't either. But the point is you have to have some kind of plan to go into it. The plan may not work the way you want, but you have to have something. I've had at least one GM. One guy, I remember, he said he was going to first time as GM. Okay, fine. And we played, what was it? It was I can't remember the name of the system, but we ended up in 5th edition. And he said, he bragged after the first session. He had a blank book, the writing book, where he did his notebook, take notes, stuff like that. And he based it on a video game. And afterwards, when we were all leaving, he said, "Hey guys, you want to see the notes I have for this game?" And they said, "Oh, okay." He opens the book. It was blank. It was blank. And one of the first things we told him was, no, you don't. That's not the way you GM. You have to have something to go on. Something. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I can write up an adventure. If they say, "Glenn, we're going to play in an hour. Can you run it?" I'll say, "Sure." And spend an hour. I can outline a decent adventure and run it. But you got to work up to that. I mean, I've been doing this for years. I mean, at least a decade. So I can do that, but you have to start somewhere. And if you have to see, how am I trying to say this? It's almost like you want to get a plan, but you don't want too much of a plan. Like I said, it's like writing a book, but only writing half the book, because you don't know what the characters are going to do in the book. And that's the way it is. And they may not do what you think they do. You know what I'm saying? I've done too many one shots or two shots, because once you get into a campaign, you can figure out what the characters are all about, and then you can start planning things around them. But when you first start, you just got to come up with a decent adventure and see how they react. To me, that's part of the problem. My friend Eric Tenkar is the same way. He loves to, shoot off the hip, go by the seat of your pants. It's great because you got things here. And they didn't do that. Okay, take that, put that aside, put it somewhere else. You have to put it in that game. You can save it for another game, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I've ran games that were a lot more fun than I thought they'd be, because the characters did things I didn't think they had to do. So they kept me on my toes. And I had to figure out how they would take care of this. See, there are linear plots, and then there are, let's go down to the dungeon and play around plots, Linear plots are good. I mean, there's a lot of modules there are linear plots. The first thing I like to do is open it up a bit, saying, okay, this is nice, and this is what happened. See, never ever fall in love with your writing or what you came up with in the fact. Never totally fall in love with it, because it will change. Nothing survives what happens at the table. And believe me, I've had some really neat things happen at the table. I've also seen GMs just lock up And then what? And that's the point I would, if I did that, that was the point. So, okay, let's take a break, and I would spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever. Okay, this is what they gave me. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, fine. All right, you guys got your drinks, went to the bathroom. All right, let's go. And then we start. But I've also been to the point where they do something that I didn't expect, that I don't want to take the time to have a break. I think having a break every time they throw something weird at you, it's like the game will take forever. And two, come on, I got to be a little more versatile than that. You know, I like to say that I like to prepare to improvise. My friend Vince, love you, Vince, but he said, what are you talking about? How do you prepare to improvise? Simple. You know the adventure, you know the NPCs, you know where they are, what's going on there. Then you use that to your advantage. If they throw something totally from left field at you, look at what you got and say, okay, this is how this guy's going to react. This is how this guy's going to react. This is what's going to happen over here. And you go, boom. Hello, books, bricks, and boards. God bless you too, brother. I'm glad you guys can hear me. I knew if I did it right, I'd finally get this one out. But yeah, and that's some of my GM advice. Happy to see you too, Chupa. Glad to see you. I thank you. I appreciate it. But anyway, I hope that gives you something, guys, to think about. And as far as games go, I've been playing my Monday game, but I haven't ran a damn thing. It was mainly because I'm in a small town now. I've been here in about 2 years. Chickasha, Oklahoma. They just got a new game. Well, not really a new game store, but one game store closed. Another one was there, but got a bigger place. So I'm going to try and get people around here. All my people that I play with are in Oklahoma City area, which technically I am, but I'm about 40 miles away. And I can't get people to my table. So I'm going to try and get some more people at the game store, just because I want people at a table. I'm tired of staring at a screen. I really am. And I won't GM online. Last time that happened, I ended up in New York City. That happened with my friend Jason. Jason's been wanting me to play with his group online forever. I played a little, didn't care for the way he's running it. And he finally one day said, I really wish I want you to run a game for my group. And I said, I opened my big mouth. I said, I will. There's one caveat. What? I got to do it in person. And the next thing I know, I'm booking a flight to New York City. So I get to stay over at Jason's house. I run some games for him, but then I get to go visit my friend Eric Tinkar over in Queens. And we ended up going to the Poconos. And that was a great time, but that was totally unexpected. I mean, I must have been, I ran 3 games for them, 3 different games. I ran Gangbusters, I ran Hyperborea, and Ghostbusters. And wow. Oh, Chupa, you were at Fort Sill? Wow. My friend that I do Theko's Hammer with, Johan, he was at Fort Sill for a while when he was in the Army. And so he was close by over in Lawton, about 30 miles away. He's been retired. He's been retired for a while, but he's a long haul driver, truck driver. So I see him once in a while. Hoping to see him in October in Wizard Comic, come by or something. Looks, Bricks, and Boards for Hyperborea is awesome. You introduced me to that game. Excellent choice. Thank you, sir. That is now my go-to for D&D. I started As I've told people before, when I started gaming, I was 22, 23 years old. I started late, but I started in first edition AD&D. And Hyperborea is based on first edition AD&D, so it's like falling, you know, it's like falling on marshmallows. I understand. Anything that has to do with that or BX or second edition or anything like that, no problem. And I love the way it's written. I told people, like, look, you ever want me to run D&D? I'm running Hyperborea. Now, I'm not saying I'm running Hyperborea as Hyperborea, but I will use that system to run AD&D. And because I can easily, I've got the originals right up there. I can go in there and take and I got it on PDF too. So I can go in there and take like the section of like races, elves, dwarves, etc. And I can go in there and say, okay, I'll just put those in here and we'll play AD&D. But a lot of times I just like to play Hyperborea. I've got a lot of their modules, the one they came out with, the Ghost Ship, I used to run that all the time. It's the first game. And I always started people at level 2 because it started at level 2. You didn't have a level 1 until they got to 3rd edition. But I have 3rd edition, and I just love running it because it's so crunchy, and it's got such a feeling to it. And the I love the magic. Well, it's the same magic system. I mean, and it's the same magic system, but it gives you so much more, and the creatures are neat, and it's just got like a touch of sci-fi, just a touch, because you got the Lovecraft monsters in there and other advanced stuff. I am feeling better when go more blizz. Sorry. Preach, brother, preach. Have you played Gullermore Bliss? Have you played Dragonbane or Lotfoot? Oh, Dragonbane, no. And the other one, I'm trying to remember what. Once again, I'm leading on the brain problem. That Lamentations of the Flame Princess. No, but I had the book at one time. I God bless him. I loved what he did with it, but I didn't like the feel. It was too I want to say gothic, but that's not right. I like gothic. Yeah, it was too heavy metal type stuff. Yeah, grim. That's a good word. Dark, grim. And I'm not for high fantasy. I'm not for low fantasy. I'm somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if the D&D movie, the last D&D movie, Honor Among Thieves, if that was a module, I'd run it. That's the kind of stuff I like, because it was somewhere in between. And I just love the idea that it had heart. It had real heart in it. I wasn't looking for Tolkien. I was looking for D&D, for something fun. And I got it. I mean, I think Tolkien's great. Okay. But I can't read him. I can't, because he's a great writer, but it's just too much. I thought he was a travel log guy at heart, because he wanted to spend half the book describing going through Middle Earth. And me, I was more of a get on with the story, okay? Please. Howard and Lieber, comfort foods of fantasy books, bricks and boards. I can see that. Yeah, sure. Howard is great. I used to tell the guys when we were playing, I just say, okay, we're going to be playing Hyperborea. time to get our Conan on. Let's go. And just, I mean, Jeff Talanian did such a good job adapting that. Such a good job. I mean, I know there's a Conan RPG, a couple of them, and other things like that. In fact, my friend Michael Spawn is coming out. James Michael Spawn is coming out with a game, which I cannot remember the name of. I'm sorry, James. But it's in Kickstarter right now that leads in towards the 1980s, 1990s, more like 1980s fantasy shows like Thunder the Barbarian, He-Man, things like that. And we had him on the show. We had him on the Vlog of Many Things last week, and I didn't see it. I mean, I haven't seen anything on it, but Don said it was great. And listening to James, I like James. He's a friend of mine. And listening to James, I like the fact that I said, my thing is Hyperborea. I could slot this into Hyperborea real easy because it's still got that feel of the pulp fantasy that I love. Blades of Power. Thank you, Donald. Thank you very much, Blades of Power. Very cool game. And I'm looking, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the Kickstarter because we're retired, we're broke. Okay. And, Don, I'm glad you made it. But I could see me using that. Like, because Tolkien's great. I mean, everybody loves Tolkien, but okay, yeah, he's got a magical time thing. I love the movies, I even like the Hobbit movies. I mean, I thought it was a little excessive, but I thought I liked it. But this thing here, I wanted action. I wanted more of, I mean, this book is taken Tolkien, not so Tolkien sort of, or D&D, and put it, and if Raymond Chandler wrote it as a detective story. And what I wanted was a lot of action. And I wanted the feel of, like, say, Doc Savage or The Phantom, or like you got a book coming out every month and it's a short book. This is only 200 pages, a short book, and it just goes, it gets you in the story. It's like, yeah. And then you get the end of it, go, wow, I can't wait until next month, the next book. And that's the way I wanted the feel of it, because I wanted to give people stuff that, you're sliding around, getting into trouble. I mean, my heroes in here are heroes, but they deserve to be heroes, not just because people say they're heroes. I always use the main character, LoJack, which is basically me, because I always wanted to play Philip Marlowe. But but I say it's me, but at the same time, I do not put up with Mary Sue's. I don't put up with Mary Sue's because I said, if I'm going to be a hero, if LoJack is going to be a hero, he's going to have to earn it. And him and his buddies get beaten the crap out of. I mean, not excessively, but I mean, when they're in a fight, they're in a fight. Not something they can automatically, blow off. They're no superheroes. But whatever they got, they earned. And that's the way I feel about D&D and characters. It can be slotted. Yes. Don, my publisher, says, when the fat orc sings is a Tolkien on its head feel. Good. Heroes need to have flaws and weaknesses or they are not interesting. I've already got some in there. LoJack is allergic to wizard magic. He's not allergic to cleric magic, but he's allergic to wizard magic. He'll do stuff like black out or throw up or something like that if you hit him with a spell, a wizard spell. Happens a couple of times in the book. Byron, the elf wizard, is something of a ladies' man, a ladies' elf, and he's very much like that. Thinks he's better than, he grew up in the Elven court. His father was like the secretary of the Elven court, and so it's like, yeah, he's a ladies' man. And Dinkus, we're still figuring out. But Dinkus the dwarf is a typical dwarf, but he doesn't get into the digging in the earth and stuff. He is a mechanical. I called him a mechanical genius because he comes up with stuff we can use all the time. And he is a fearless fighter. Fearless fighter. Books, bricks, and boards. It says, lol, that's awesome. Totally stealing that for the game. You go ahead. Don has stolen stuff from me from this book anyway. He took my talk stones, which is okay because I always wanted something where, you can't have a phone. I can't really have a phone in D&D, but or a flip or one of these. You can't have really one of these, but you should have some kind of magical thing where you can communicate with one another, at least for like, say, a walkie-talkie type thing. And the magic stones, the talk stones come, that's what they're there for. There's talk stones and spell stones in my world. Spells can be cast on stones to be used later. Depending on how big the stone is, what level of spell or how many spells you can put in it. Talk stones are basically communication. You tap it, say we go on. If somebody else has a talk stone, they can talk to you. I gave them in my games a 200-mile radius because at the time I was running my my cattle drive scenario where they had to go ahead to the cattle drive and clear the way. So they had to communicate back to the cattle drive, which is following like a week behind them. And so they had to say, okay, we did this. This is a problem. Go around, whatever. But 200 miles I thought was fair because I know there's going to be situations where they're going to be out of communication. So that's a thing. And these are little things that help make the game more fun, and yes, I'm thinking about this as a game. And like somebody said, one of the reviewers said, if you play D&D, you get a little more out of this. But even if you don't, if you read fantasy, you'd still enjoy it. Absolutely. Books, bricks, and boards, heading out for a family gathering. Love you, man. Keep healing up. Take it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Heck yeah. Oh, Don says, heck yes, I went in and used my bag of holding and I laid siege to this book. Well, they've also got all three main characters have a bag of holding. You just don't see it. I mean, when I draw them, I don't draw. What it is a hat of holding or a helm of holding. So they carry most of their stuff in their hat or their helm. And I just thought that was like, okay, fine. I mean, this next book, they're going to have guns. They're going to have flintlock. LoJack has a bandolero of like 4 or 5 flintlocks that he doesn't always use, but in this next one, he's going to need it. So it's not something he carries all the time. But hello, Mr. Wampler. He said, I was going to say, let a comm badge fall through a portal from MCC World, but a talk stone sounds like it's basically the same thing. Nice. You're probably right. Matthew, I'm glad you enjoyed the book. If they'll let you, please, if you could go on Amazon and leave a review, always helps. Hopefully to have like I told people earlier, can't talk. Hopefully in Oklahoma City's Barnes & Noble, I will have a book sign in July, middle of July, 18th. Yes, reviews are very important, folks. I mean, get some nice stuff. The Barnes & Noble, it's also on the Barnes & Noble website, but I haven't seen any action there at all. And they're selling it about the same price. But although you probably know if you're on Amazon and you've got Amazon Prime, the shipping is a lot easier, if none at all. No shipping at all, which is I'm always for. Yes. That's a good thing. And Don, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling better. I'm feeling better, sir. The lymph node thing, I understand. Um, and I know next week you're going to be in. So if I don't see you on the show or anything like that, good luck with that. And all you folks who are going to North Texas, you're going to enjoy it. North Texas, I don't know what's going on in North Texas. They seem to be having a lot of bad luck this year. Thank you, sir. He's doing great. But I had to drop out. Don had to drop out. And I know I did too. And I noticed Mike and Liz can only go like maybe a day and a half because they have problems. And I've heard a couple other people drop. I mean, wow, something about this year. I don't know what it is that Bad Mike and Gary, they're taking a hit. I mean, I'm so sorry to see that happen. But so if anybody can go to North Texas RPG Con, which will start next Thursday, which is, and I will bring up the calendar right here. And Thursday will be the 4th. Starts the 4th, but they do have a pre-con get on, what they call pre-con get it on, where you can show up where they're setting stuff up and stuff, but you can play or whatever. I like to arrive the Wednesday and either get in a game or run a game or help them set up the con. But that goes from the 4th to the 7th. And so that will be a lot of fun. This is me promoting it. Definitely will miss seeing you there. I know, man. I know it hurts. And I was supposed to be a special guest too. Yes, I know you're stealing items from Donald which is good. If you can extend it Thursday, that'd be great. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But yeah, Bad Mike and Gary they got a good one going. They've run at least 15 years now. Doug set this up with Mike, and it's been going ever since. Yes, buy my book, please. And I'm also trying to get it arranged where Don can send a few copies of my book to Bad Mike for like the silent auction, things like that. Just so we can, anything they raise goes towards running the con. And if they can put a few copies of my book in the silent auction, great, fantastic. I'm just sorry I couldn't sign them for him. And so maybe if you next year or at WizardCon, you bring the book. If you got a book from North Texas, bring it. I'd be happy to sign it. And that's no problem. As a matter of fact, people are starting to say I should read part of my book at the cons. And in that spirit, I happened to print this. I printed the first chapter out like so, because that I can read without my glasses. And I would be very happy to do that. My first chapter, I would read my first chapter, and that's got enough action in there to get you going. And it's like, you like that? Get the book, read it. And Don says on YouTube, Glenn, every week you need to read one chapter of your book in character voices, etc. Yes, you're right. I'm working on a YouTube video where I just read the first chapter. I don't want to give it first chapter's got plenty in it. It'll hook you. It really will. I mean, I don't want to give them the whole book, but I want to give them enough of a tease to, it's like, you like that? There's more of that in here. Yeah. So far, we are doing well. Don and I are both doing well. Someday I'll see some money from this, but until then, I'll be writing another book. And Mr. James Michael Spahn, here is your book all wrapped up and signed. I'm just waiting to get a bubbled envelope so I can send it out to you as a thank you, because you've given me your books in the past, and friends do that. Yes. real weekly each chapter. It will help the sale. Yes. I will try and push that forward into something a little better, a little sooner. Get on with it soon. Anyway, all right. I've yacked enough today, I think. And next time you will see me is Tuesday afternoon, maybe, if I can get back from my chemo and radiation in time. But if not, I will be there Tuesday evening, where we were starting a vlog of many things on Tuesday evening. We tried Friday twice. It didn't work out. People could be gone. We couldn't get it done. So we're going to move it to a little more easier place where people can get to it. So like Tuesday afternoon and evening. And that's why. And that's where we will be doing it. Okay. Anyway, I think it's time for me to go eat lunch. And so I will bid you guys adieu. And this marks something. Hello, Chuppa. Thank you. Thanks, Len. Always good seeing you. Thank you, Matthew. And this marks something. This is the first live stream I have done without any pants on. I know that's something Eric Tenkar does all the time, but I thought I'd be wild and try it this time. No, I'm not standing up. But anyway, you guys take care, and I will see you next time.